Behind us on the right, a white building with a thatched roof, the replica of Shakespeare's Globe Theatre. All throughout the summer, you can go inside that building and watch Shakespeare's traditional plays, all reenacted in their traditional style. There's no lighting, no sound amplification, all the actors dress in a period costume. But it is only open during the summer. And the weather isn't too good today, is it? We've had some nice days recently, and a couple of weeks ago when the Icelandic volcano erupted, we had some nice days then. I was going to make a few jokes about the volcano, but it's a little bit too soon. I'm going to wait for the dust to settle, and then I'll think of a few, because if I say them now, they might just blow up in my face. Just here we have the Southwark Bridge, opened in 1921. Now through the bridge and ahead of us on the right, we've got a tavern, the Anchor. Dates back to 1615. The Anchor is quite famous and steeped of history, been frequented by many famous people like the diarists Samuel Pepys and Dr. Johnson. Charles Dickens has been in there, Christopher Wren, and William Shakespeare himself has been in that old pub on the right hand side. And it's not a museum, it is still a pub, so you might want to go in there this afternoon. Just ahead now, the bridge we're passing through is the Cannon Street Railway Bridge. It's not very interesting, so we'll move on. But look at the supports of the bridge. You'll see the tide is rushing out to the sea at the moment. Now the tide can travel at a speed of up to 6 knots. The best Olympic swimmer in the world couldn't swim against it. It's very strong, very dangerous. It makes it quite hard to navigate these boats through the bridges. And here on the right, especially for the children, a small pirate ship in a dockway. This ship is the replica of Sir Francis Drake's ship, the Golden Thames. Francis Drake was the first Englishman to circumnavigate the world. He did so on a ship like that one with a crew of 80 men. He did this in 1577. As a fully working replica, it's been around the world twice and it's now a museum. And ahead of the boat we have a very famous bridge, so famous they once wrote a song about it. Does anybody know the name of this bridge? London Bridge, yes it is. Do you all know the nursery rhyme, London Bridge is falling down? Yeah. Shall we all sing it together? No, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to do that. No, just you, sir. But look either side of the boat, you'll see the name engraved into the stone, London Bridge, okay? Now, talking of nursery rhymes, you may have heard the one, London's burning. Well, staying on the subject, here on your left, in the gap in the buildings, you'll see the monument to the Great Fire of London. A stone column with a golden flame on the top, built to resemble a candle. It was said to be a candle that started the Great Fire in a baker's shop in Pudding Lane on the 2nd of September 1666. And here on the left, a blue glass building. This is the headquarters and training grounds of the London Window Cleaning Company. Well, it could be. It's not really. I'd like to let you know, though, that was my best joke. Okay, so if you haven't smiled yet, there's no chance. What it is, it's the head offices of the Daily Star and Daily Telegraph. The yellow brick building on the left is the old Billingsgate Fish Market. Look behind that, you'll see a building that looks incomplete. It's got everything on the outside. Well, it was the world's first inside-out building. That's Lloyd's of London. They have all the lift shafts on the outside, the stairs, air conditioning, and so on. And then you'll see the gherkin in the city. Known as the gherkin, obviously, because its shape resembles a gherkin. Has many other suggestions what it looks like, I'm sure you can imagine. The rocket, cigar, American football, and so on. We've heard of them all. But it cost £300 million to build. It's 600 feet tall. It is as tall as this ship here on the right is long, so it gives you an idea of the size. This is the HMS Belfast, the largest light cruiser ever commissioned by the Royal Navy. It weighs 11,500 tons. It was launched on St. Patrick's Day in 1938, commissioned a year later, and this ship was built in a very famous shipyard, the Harland and Wolff shipyard in Belfast, Northern Ireland, the same shipyard that built the Thames. The Belfast today is part of the Imperial War Museum. There's 8 decks to explore, it's worth walking around, it's open 7 days a week. You will see the ship's guides here on the back, dressed up like the captains there. I might get them to wave. They'll give you a hand if there's anything you want to know. If you want to be showed around the ship, they're more than happy to do it. I do suggest it to all of you. It's £10 for adults. Children under 16 go for free. And I'm sure all you ladies can't wait to get on there. Just here on your right now, you'll see a glass building shaped like a motorcyclist crash helmet. Cost £52 million to build. That's City Hall, designed by Lord Norman Foster. Norman Foster is the same man who designed the Millennium Footbridge and the Gherkin that I spoke of a couple of minutes ago. As I said, that's the head offices of Boris Johnson. And just ahead of the boat, Tower Bridge, the gateway to London. What we'll do is we'll turn the boat around. As we do, you'll get a nice side-on view of the bridge if you're taking your pictures. But Tower Bridge is not as old as it looks. It was opened on June the 30th in 1894. It's a steel and iron suspension bridge, only has stone around it to blend in with the Tower of London. Has anybody ever been lucky enough to see Tower Bridge open? Yeah, just a few people. Well, you do have to be quite lucky to see the bridge open today. It only opens about 500 times a year on average, which sounds like quite a lot. But the record of this bridge opening in one 24-hour period is 54 times. So it's very well used when they first put it in. You can see as we turn the boat that they've started to repaint it. They've done either side, they haven't yet done the centre. They estimate they'll use 20,000 litres of paint to paint Tower Bridge. It'll cost £1.5 million. It's actually more money to paint the bridge today than it cost to build in the first place. Would you believe it? And talk about inflation. But they don't care, they've got money to spare. Because the reason they're painting it is for the London Olympics, to make it look more modern. As you know, we're hosting the Olympics here in London in 2012. The Olympics has a budget of £9.3 billion, which is a lot of money, but you can't put a price on 2 bronze medals, can you? You never know, we might get a silver. That's what makes it all worth it in the end. As you can tell, here in London, we're ecstatic. But all joking aside, it is a good thing for the city, and if you want to see the opening ceremony, it's on the 27th of July in 2012. Here on your right, what many people come to London to see, the Tower of London. There's over 900 years of English and French history inside the tower, and a lot of it is very gruesome. The main part of the tower, that's the 4 towers in the middle. They're called the White Towers, or the Norman Keep. They date back to the time of William the Conqueror in 1078. Now there's 21 surrounding towers, all added by different reigning monarchs. On the river wall, you'll see a bricked-up archway with words above it, entry to the Traitor's Gate. Now, Traitor's Gate is on the tower directly behind it. You can see it from here. That's the St. Thomas's Tower put there in 1280. Traitor's Gate itself is known as London's first one-way street. If you ever went through those archways, it was hardly likely that you would return. You were taken up to Tower Hill. At Tower Hill you'd have your public execution, unless you was lucky. If you was lucky, you'd be imprisoned for life in the bloody, behind the bloody trees. Okay? That's where the bloody tower is. And that's why we can't see it. And on that joke, I'm going to conclude the commentary, probably best, I'm sure you'll agree. Now, we're going to head into the pier. There is a few things to mention. First of all, most importantly, is your safety. By all means, take your pictures now, that's what you're here for. But as we go alongside the pier, you just stay in your seats until we're safely alongside. In case we take a little bump, we don't want to see anybody falling over. Your tickets, if you have a ticket to the tower, this is